I'm Councilwoman Jan Perry, Chair of the committee, Ad Hoc Committee on the Stadium, and there's been a request to take item 2 out of order. Is that correct, Mr. Wickham?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, why don't we start with item 2?
Great. John Wickham with the Chief Legislative Analyst. At your last ad hoc meeting, Councilman Cardenas had requested some data concerning the economic and other changes that have occurred down in the South Park area over the last few years. And so we've prepared a chart, a two-pager copied on one page, back and front, and copies of this are available in the back room. We contacted the Central City Association, the Los Angeles Police Department, PKF International, who do a lot of work on analysis of hotels and convention center activity and other similar business in Los Angeles, the LA Tourism Board, and AEG. And just real quick, you can see the context. Staples opened in 1999, LA Live opened in 2007, and the JW Marriott Ritz opened in 2010. And flowing from this, you can see, for example, the LA Live development was a $3.5 billion investment. It was about 20% of the total investment in downtown over the last decade. You can see that the population in downtown increased by 159%. So there's a significant growth in population downtown. The similar significant growth in the number of housing units, growing from 18,700 to 48,000. There's over 500,000 employees in downtown. And what you start seeing is that there's, in addition to all of the activity at LA Live, there's a significant increase in retail activity, and we all are familiar with the restaurant activity that's been building in downtown. And that's drawing more and more interest in other retailers. The hotel market is interesting. The average daily rate has increased significantly over the last number of years. Even over there was, in the downturn in 2008, there was a significant decrease in occupancy and in room rates. And even beginning a year later, that started to increase significantly. In 2010, when the Marriott opened, there was still an increase in room occupancy. There were fears that building the Marriott would take hotel rooms away from the other hotels in downtown. What we saw is that it actually induced demand, that even with an additional 1,000 rooms open per day in the Marriott, we saw an increase to 65.3%, a 3% increase in hotel room occupancy. That shows this actually, creating that hotel actually induced demand, and it created an interest for more people to come to downtown, and it affected and improved all the other hotels in the area. It is important to note that the rate of occupancy of 75% in downtown is probably affected most significantly by the closure of the Wilshire Grand, which is being torn down and rebuilt.
Just a quick question about that. So where do you think the business that would have gone to the Wilshire Grand has gone in the meantime?
It's likely that it's going to flow out to other hotels in the region, in West LA, Beverly Hills, Pasadena.
Is there any way to track that, events that were booked there, to see where they end up?
We can check with PKF and with the LA Tourism Board to see what kind of data we can generate on that. Yeah.
Just a follow-up question. Is there any way we, the city, could write a letter to those who were once here, encourage them to stay and call us if we could help them?
Yeah.
Is LA Inc., excuse me. I know.
LA Tourism Board.
The Tourism Board. LA Inc. is the tattoo parlor. I got that. So, show me your tattoo. Yeah. Got it removed. Anyway, I think we should do that. Yeah. Someone should be jumping on that. Okay.
Great. On the back page, we have crime data from LAPD, and you see that we've actually had a 72% reduction in Part 1 and Part 2 crimes in the area. Now, this is a time when there's a large increase in residential population, a large increase in tourism, a large increase in all of the other activities going on in the area, and there's still a significant decrease in crime. We have information here on the number of conventions that have occurred, and I just pulled out a couple dates. You'll see 2000, there were 24 citywide conventions. In 2005, there were only 13. 2010, there were 17, and now in 2012, we're back up to 24. The reason we had 24 events back in 2000 was because the San Diego Convention Center was closed for construction. And so there was limited demand in Southern California for events. And as soon as that facility opened, people started going back to San Diego. With all of the convention center facilities in Southern California operating at full capacity, we're back up to 24. So we're actually becoming more competitive in the area as a result significantly of, again, the Marriott Hotel opening up, which was the intention of the council's actions. Finally, I have some notes on the community benefits program that AEG implemented as a result of the LA Live project. And so you can see that they have contributed funds to some of the parks that have in the area, programs such as living wage, local hiring, job training, assistance with the creation of affordable housing units. And at the LA Live site, there are more than 4,400 jobs that were created at that facility on that campus. So this is a quick rundown, and if there are any other...
I have a quick question. On the community benefits agreement with the assistance of the creation of affordable housing units, is this going to be a contribution to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, or will it take some other form?
This is the past community benefits program, so that was already parceled out and worked on.
How was that done?
I don't know.
Okay.
Martha with AEG is here if...
I can ask them. I can ask them.
Okay, we'll follow up later.
Yes, Mr. Cardenas.
Madam Chair, I really do appreciate the staff putting this together, and thank you for your quick response. I think it's important for the public to understand that when we're making policy here, we get accused of just trying to cater to a big corporation, a multi-billion-dollar corporation. But the fact of the matter is, when you look at the breakdown of crime, investment, and downtown, and you look at the population growth, it's amazing to see that you can go from crime stats that are close to 8,000 incidents in 2000 down to about 4,600, but yet you look at the population has grown from approximately 19,000 to close to 49,000. That's almost triple the number of people who call downtown their home, yet at the same time, crime has gone down drastically. So, and also I think it's appropriate for us to point out that during most of this tenure of all these actions of crime going down and the population going up and investment close to $16 billion, that was mostly during your tenure, Madam Chair. Mm-hmm. So I would like to personally thank you for the bold decisions you were confronted with on, and also being attacked for just looking at it from a business vantage point and trying to give away downtown to business is what some people would accuse politicians of doing. But I think that what you did is you proved that if we build it, crime will drop. They say build it and they'll come, but the nice part about it is you built it and then crime dropped as well. I think that's a factor that hopefully is not lost on the media and it's not lost on the public. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
Can I just add something, too?
Mr. Laban.
I just wanted to compliment Building and Safety and Planning for Adaptive Reuse, which is under the Reardon administration, something that Mr. Reardon really pushed and council supported at the time, that transformed the housing, and also put a shout out to USC. I think their arm of the University of Southern California, I don't know how much they have done, but if they had not stayed in Los Angeles and left like many inner city colleges and universities did in the last 40 years and gone to Pepperdine area or gone to Irvine, they would have been transformed. I think it's I'm familiar with a lot of the activity of some of the student housing that is even driving some of the downtown housing. I think there's some credit there as far as the economic engine for the lower part of the area. And you don't have any zip code surveys of people come, or does LA Live have zip code surveys of people who come, or the convention center have zip code surveys? They ask you when you go to Magic Mountain or Disneyland what zip code you're from?
I'll check with AEG and see if they do collect that
In
data.
the convention center, thank you.
Mr. Reyes?
Yeah. As I look at the language, and today's agenda is about the design, correct?
Correct.
So based on the Brown Act, that should be the focal point of our discussion. But yet there are other issues arising pertaining to how we're looking at planning impacts, planning issues. Will we be able to discuss that this morning, Madam City Attorney?
I think the city attorney would suggest that that's not, we'd have to be careful what we talk about, particularly with regard to the EIR. The Planning Commission is holding a hearing on the EIR on September 13th, so I don't think we would want to presuppose any of, or talk about it in advance of what the commission does and considers what the planning department reports to them. So I think we might want to be a
Okay,
little
so I just
cautious.
want to make sure I don't go into a place and get my hands
It
slapped.
will all be coming forward to this committee, and you will have time for a detailed discussion of that.
Great, okay. But I do want to say thank you to all of the community members and all the different stakeholders that are here today in pushing forth in a manner that is transparent. I appreciate the discussion. I just hope that as we continue going through this dialogue, that the design issues capture the gist of what we've been asserting for the past few months, reading over the July 19th letter and looking at all these other different documents, that it is clear how we are responding to the concerns of the local areas. So thank you.
Absolutely. Great.
Eradicated.
The one thing I failed to leave off the chart was the number of Lakers championships, the Kings championship, which clearly have an economic impact on the downtown. And the Sparks actually have had championships as well. So those are
Yeah, you know
actually.
what? If you get a minute, go back and do an addendum on that, because it's very true.
Yeah,
It's
I think that
awesome.
needs to be part of the record. I mean, with all due respect, Madam Chairwoman, it's important because when you have championships or what have you, there is an economic impact to that community, and there's an economic benefit. It's not just a source of pride, but there is also economic benefit as well. Thank you.
Okay, other presentations, CAO? No? Okay, great. I do have some cards on this item.
Okay.
Ruben Gonzalez from the Chamber made a card, but I'm not sure if it's for item one or two. Is Ruben still here? Ruben? Ruben Gonzalez, okay, let's see. All right, well, the next gentleman will be Rocky Pellicino. Is Rocky here? There he is, okay. And after Rocky will be Robbie Hunter. Robbie, if you're here, come on up. And Michael Hartunian. And Alan Kabaker. Kabaker? And if anybody sees Ruben Gonzalez, tell him to come on up here. Okay, Rocky, why don't you go first?
Morning, Madam Chair, and elected officials that are sitting in front, and of course, all our brothers and sisters in this room this morning. I must say, this is a glorious day, without a doubt. I mean, out there this morning and listen to all the speakers speak, it was very heartfelt stories, and also to see the beautification of what we did out there in our great land out there in the City Hall. But also I want to share with you, if I may, and there's been so many thank yous, so many accolades, so many appreciations, but also, you know, on the flip side, I must also say is that from myself as a labor leader, not only am I a proud man, but also I must share with some stories that hopefully each and every one of you as elected officials do listen to, and that is many of our members have lost their health care coverage. Many members are losing their pensions because of the fact that there's no man hours going into our pension plan. I, as a trustee who sits on the pension plan, we're going to be making some serious decisions here coming very shortly. What we're all about is man hours. And I, as a proud blue-collar worker, and I know to you also, Brother Cardenas, with the story of your father, is that we are reaching out, and we're reaching out to each and every one of you to listen to us, to really beg of you of where we're trying to say in regards to so many brothers and sisters who are out there hurting. And what AEG wants to bring to this great city of ours is phenomenal. This is something that just doesn't happen all that often. Not only will the blue-collar worker of Great Los Angeles will benefit from a projects like this, but also the city of Los Angeles too. We ask of you, brothers and sisters, to our elected officials, please listen to us. That's all we ask. Please listen. And listen to the many brothers and sisters who are out there out of work. And I must say is that for us here today, as a labor leader, I am proud not only to be here today, but also to represent many sheet metal workers out there. And please, in closing, the end of the day, we're all going to be glorious, And we're all going to look forward to this great thing that we have been from the last year. And also, it does hurt and pain when you do hear the horror stories. And I know each and every one of you have heard a lot of them. But this is something that we could bring a lot of smiles to young men and women. And that's why we're going to give the opportunities also to our apprenticeship programs to bring them in to give a living wage with benefits.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much.
Robbie Hunter.
Madam Chair, ad hoc committee members, Robbie Hunter, I would like to represent the building trades, 140,000 construction workers. We built the old convention center a couple of decades ago, and because of the shortage of hotel rooms and many other things, it's never really been fully utilized. And I would, I congratulate the City Council and Councilwoman Perry in particular, this being her area and has worked on it for many, many years, that this new convention center will utilize the footprint as it should have been to begin with enough hotels, many more conventions, the adding of the football stadium. But all these things happening, the City Council and each and every member of the City Council has tried to ensure that the financial benefit will be done by workers that live here in Los Angeles. And so not only are we fixing something that's really a drag on the city budget and modernizing a new convention center, but you're also making sure that the workers that are going to be working on these massive projects will be from LA City. And so we support and we believe that the economic effect from the renovation and modernization of the convention center will be maximized through the process that you guys have engaged in. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Michael Hartunian.
And before Michael speaks, I have my chairship of Commerce Committee, but if you need me for anything, let me know.
No problem.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Madam Councilwoman, other councilmen on the board, I'm a landlord. I'm also an attorney. I own the corner block between Pico and Grand. I thought it was appropriate to come into this meeting to discuss the economic impact of the stadium on what's going on in South Park. 3 years ago, could not rent property on Pico. Today, property values, rents are skyrocketing. They've gone from 50 cents a square foot to over $1 a square foot for smaller rental space. The reason being is because we have people who are investing in small businesses in our neighborhood. They are counting on the foot traffic going to the Coliseum, to the Staples Center. They want to capitalize on that foot traffic. With that said, and with the South Park bid, there's nothing being done to improve the appearance of Pico Boulevard. Trees are uprooting streets, asphalt is being thrown on broken concrete. It still looks like a war zone on Pico Boulevard, and yet we have thousands of people traveling down Pico to attend all sorts of conventions, and it's not portraying Los Angeles in the best possible light. And I'd like to emphasize that in addition to having a stadium, when people walk on Pico Boulevard to the stadium from wherever the parking lots are, that we give them an attractive environment, that we give them retail stores to stop in and shop or get a snack on the way to the stadium. There are buildings that are still eyesores, and the sidewalks are just deplorable. And so I ask you in consideration to consider improving the streets of Pico, which will lead to the Coliseum and to Staples Center, and to give these businessmen who are grassroots businessmen starting up with their hard-earned dollars a chance to make it. And I'm also here to answer any questions you have.
Just give me a general idea. Tell me what your business is at 9th and Fig, or your office?
My office?
Where's your business located?
I own the corner of Pico and Grand, between Pico and Margot,
Okay.
and it's the corner block. I'm no longer actively practicing law. I was an entertainment attorney.
Yeah. And if you had to project from which cross street, north, south, to go from east to west for me and your your own mental picture and tell me where you'd begin and end in terms of focusing on Pico Boulevard improvements.
You know, honestly, I would say, starting from about Olive to the convention center, what was once pictured to be the Pico Corridor, which was supposed to be an entertainment corridor at one point in time, if you recall.
Yeah.
There was one time there was a proposal. It's that corridor between the fashion district but mostly Olive to the convention center that needs work. There is a lot of foot traffic during any convention because I've been spending a lot of time down there during remodeling of the stores, and I personally observe, you know, everybody from all different conventions walking and tripping and over broken sidewalks.
And they're parking over there by 12, near the AT&T Center and around there.
Right, exactly. There's over there on I believe it is Olive, and near the AT&T Center, there's a
A lot
huge
of
parking
parking
lot that's owned by
Yeah.
the State Bar, California,
Okay.
and they're parking over there.
Yeah, those are good suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you're going to speak on item 1, so don't go anywhere.
Oh, I am?
Yeah, you filled out 2 cards.
Oh, I thought I filled out one. But if you want me to speak, I'm happy to
Yeah,
speak.
well, if you don't mind.
Well, if you're done, that's cool.
Yeah, either way, it's up to you, really.
I got to go,
Okay.
but I can hang around.
No, well, you know, whatever.
I have to go
works.
fight with the city assessor now. about
Okay.
Property taxes, but I'm
Yes, people and me, things to do.
Well,
All right.
That's another committee.
And then, let's see. I'm sorry, tell me your last name.
Alan Kabacher.
Okay, all right, okay. You're Alan, okay, great.
Thank you.
And now you filled out for 1,
And 2.
2, yes, okay. So we're still on 2, but let me finish 2 if you don't mind. You speak on 2 and then you'll come back for 1.
Okay.
All right, and then Priscilla Chang, you're here, come on up. And did anyone see Ruben Gonzalez? I guess he left, okay.
I tried looking for him.
Okay, all right. Mr. Kabacher and then Ms. Chang.
I'm here because I'm with a group
You
that
might want to pull the
Speaking
mic
of the
closer.
mic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm here because I'm with a group that owns 940 Figueroa, the Variety Arts Theater building. It's basically at Olympic and Figueroa. And it's a building that's been unused for several years. There was a period of time when AEG owned the building. There was a period of time when people were trying to use that building for new run plays, and those efforts did not result in the building being used. But it's a historic building built in 1924, and my comment is that with demographic and economic incentive to the neighborhood, I'd like the city to consider encouraging AEG to include the Variety Arts Theater building as support facility for any hotel use or convention center support events, and that's something that we could configure the space to accommodate. There's auditorium, there's stage, there's office space, there's bar, restaurant type space. It's 75,000 feet, it's 5 stories, and it's a great character on the interior of the building.
Have you approached them? with
We have an
proposal?
appointment.
Okay, great.
So we'll meet with Ted Tanner, and to the extent that the committee can consider encouraging AEG to expand its incentives beyond the boundaries of its own site, that would encourage them to work with us and establish a cooperative use for the building.
Great.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Ms. Chang?
Good morning, Priscilla Chang. Good morning, council members. Priscilla Chang with the Los Angeles County Federation of Labor, representing over 800,000 working men and women throughout Los Angeles. We are so excited that this project is moving forward, but would like it to move even more quickly, but very proud today, standing in front of City Hall, that AEG has committed to not only good union jobs, but 100% living wage for all the workers that are going to be part of the project, as well as a 50% local hire goal. And as Brother Hunter said earlier, 30% local hire goal on the construction jobs. So we want to thank everyone who's been involved with the project, especially AEG, for all their work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, I have a card from Skip Cooper, and you don't have a number on it. Skip, did you want to speak on item 2 or item 1?
Current item.
Okay, this is number 2. Come on up.
Good morning, council members. I'm Skip Cooper, President and CEO of the Black Business Association, headquartered in Los Angeles, the oldest active minority business organization in the state of California. And we are very, very, very supportive of AEG and its efforts, not only to make a better and stronger Los Angeles, but a better California. AEG is committed to 25% of the contracts in value to go to small businesses. We will work very closely with AEG to see that they realize this goal that's going to really help small business owners, and that's very, very important. And as I have said so many times, and you can look at your own statistics, if you love Los Angeles, you have to love AEG. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great.
Is that a bumper sticker?
Yeah. Or at least a T-shirt. Thank you.
AEG's person here?
Yeah, they are.
Coin that.
Okay. So that's the end of our speaker cards on item 2. Mr. Wickham, did you want to conclude in any way?
No, that covers it.
Okay, great. And this is just a report, am I correct?
Correct. No action.
No action to be taken on this item. So then we will next go to item 1.
Great. Again, John Wickham with the CLA, and we're going to run through just some of the basic design issues that are outstanding. For your information, you'll be seeing things. Just again, for context, this is the campus. It is as it is now, the Convention Center, the West Hall, the South Hall, and Staples Center. And this is with LA Live. This is what it's going to be following construction, with the stadium occurring basically here, and then the new hall occurring right here, and then the 2 new parking structures. So just, again, as an orientation to the site, this is the proposed change. So let me see, here's A. This is one I wanted to start with. So Mr. Reyes had asked about circulation, and so we have a number of slides here concerning how people are walking into and out of and around the facility. So the green arrows show the main entrances for the public into the event center. This is at the street level, basically. And there are also some VIP entrances at the street level, these little purple arrows, as well as, let's see, number 3. Okay, so yeah, and then the exits are these red arrows right here. So there are 4 main entrances, and then these 2 minor entrances to the facility for ticket taking, et cetera. But then there are many more exits in line following the game to move people out.
So when they are, for an example, tailgating, and you got a lot of people congregating, tailgating is occurring, where does tailgating occur? And you got a whole group of people walking from that area into the stadium. If you go to other football stadiums, that's where you see and feel the pressure of getting to your seat, at least during the first quarter.
Exactly.
Where does the tailgate occur?
This has limited tailgating opportunities because of the urban location. So it is going to be a different football experience for a lot of people. I do have some graphics of the different plazas that are in place in the design, but the main tailgating activity is going to occur in Gil Lindsay Plaza. And I have there's some graphics coming up on Gil Lindsay Plaza for that purpose. So Gil Lindsay Plaza is over here. It's actually, Gil Lindsay Plaza is 4 acres, so it's actually quite large space. And so you would see these tailgating type activities leading into this main entrance over in this direction. So Just a quick review of the different levels in the stadium itself. And this is important because, there are arrangements for the stadium, the event center, to be used for conventions. So there needs to be some way for people to get from the convention hall to the stadium exhibit areas and meeting rooms. And so this is the floor of the event center. It's actually 40 feet below grade. So this was one of the design features to make sure that the height of the stadium was not really, impactful on the community. So the stadium is actually 40 feet below grade. So we need to get people from down here up to the convention center hall. So here's the field, and here's some meeting room space that's available, or event space. On the next level up, there's some additional decks and rooms that are available for meeting space. We finally get to the ground level, and there on the ground level in the stadium, there's actually a passageway that leads from the west tower of the convention center through the stadium over to the new Pico lobby. So this is kind of a more direct path than having people enter, go all the way around to the event, to the various event exhibit halls, et cetera, here. So we actually have in the design a pathway that's more direct to the Pico lobby. And then we have on the next level up, this is the exhibit level at the convention center. And then, what's the computer telling me? There we go. And then finally we have the meeting room. Well, we have another, the meeting room level, 270. And there are meeting rooms in the convention center, in the event center. There are these two decks, these club lounges at the event center that are available for use as well. And so if I'll go back real quick for a minute, this connection here at the main exhibit level, there's the ballroom that we talked about, multipurpose room. This wall here will have some entryways to allow people to.
What will the capacity be for the ballroom? Do you know yet?
It's 48,000 square feet, and I left my notes on the number of people who can stay in that room. And again, that was configurable into meeting rooms, exhibit space, and then dining events. So there's this is where people would enter the event center. They would take ramps and elevators and escalators and such over in this corner to get down to the floor. So the design includes ways and is cognizant that it's necessary to bring people from the exhibit hall down to the event center floor.
What's on the briefing notes? You refer to the canyon.
Yeah.
What is the canyon?
That's coming up.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Never heard of that before.
So anyway, that's the circulation. Again, let me go back to this, the meeting hall rooms. So there's meeting rooms here, there are meeting rooms here, there are these club lounges on either side, there are meeting rooms here, and there are hallways all the way around. So there's circulation in different ways to get into the different spaces. And that's nice for the exhibitors because they can control, if you have multiple exhibitors, people can control who's going into which areas and be more efficient in the space. So these multiple entrances are very useful that way. So in terms of out on the streets, the pedestrian activity, the first slide I have here, again, this is the campus. You can see the event center here, the new hall and the south hall here, Gil Lindsay Plaza here. The design that AG is proposing has these portals between the downtown convention center LA Live District and Pico Union, where there will be focus in improving the sidewalks, improving the experience in the transition for pedestrians through those spaces.
Those portals are at least 1 block from the freeway, correct?
Yeah,
At a minimum?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And as far as the public artwork in the Gilbert Lindsay Plaza, what's the current thinking on the public art sculpture of Mr. Lindsay?
That feature will remain in the design, and I can show you in a coming graphic. It is being proposed to be relocated to a more visible and feature location so that people can experience it more. Right now, it's out on the corner, and so there's no real opportunity to linger and experience the art associated with that memorial. And so it's being located in a place that gives people a nice opportunity to experience the exhibit. So the types of things that are being looked at for this area are on the underpasses to include lighting, to include art features, to include landscaping. I believe the sidewalks will be widened so that it's a much more pleasant and enjoyable space to walk through. Here's an example of what it looks like right now, and this is with fencing, hedges, landscaping along the freeway and all. So this is definitely intended to improve the streetscape experience in that portal from Pico Union into LA Live in the Convention Center District.
Thank you for that.
Certainly. And examples of art and lighting that are used in such places to really make them more interesting and enlivened up. AG has come up with two proposals that they're calling Great Walks. And there are two Great Walks they're talking about. The first would link 7th Street and the rail station over there, the train station over along Francisco Street into LA Live and into the Convention Center. And this is, they are working with the property owners along this district to find ways to improve the streetscapes, to enliven the street, to look for opportunities to increase retail and make it a much more pedestrian-oriented space.
Right. But there's a notion of active streets. You have sidewalks that can serve multiple purposes. They appeal and cater to the bicyclists.
Mm-hmm.
They appeal to, let's say, one evening of the week. It could facilitate a farmer's market. Ways in which you engage all of the different communities that are around this area. So, for example, on the portals going from the freeway into Pico Union, are we looking at these improvements with that type of perspective? Is it more pedestrian, just basic sidewalk and trees and bushes?
No, the intent is to make it much more, to linger and enjoy the walk and enjoy the community,
Right.
as opposed to getting from point A to point B and facilitating that rapid trans.
That becomes a catalyst to other possibilities and how it continues the economic development dynamic of these pockets. And I think that is where we ultimately leverage this type of an opportunity with this multiplier effect. And that's where I'm hoping we can get to as we continue this discussion.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So John, on the map,
Yeah.
there's the corner pavilion, and where's that located?
Corner Pavilion is down here. There has been a concept AG presented of placing either a restaurant or a meeting room or some kind of a structure on the corner to create some activity on the corner of Pico and Figueroa. And they'd like to do a similar feature on the corner of Pico and LA Live Way, back up here. So they've been calling that the light box. So just open, and you can have maybe a small public meeting or some kind of activity in those types of spaces.
And can you show the canyon on this graphic, or is it coming?
Yeah, the canyon is right here. And we'll have a more detailed graphic in a minute.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The other walk that has been proposed would travel from the Pico station up Pico into Pico Union. And the experience here is that there's an expectation there's so many people debarking from the train and getting onto the train here that it's important to have, again, this experience of being comfortable in the walk from and to the train station into the campus. And there are a lot of features in there that support that activity. This is a generalized enhanced streetscape plan for the district that's been proposed. And it extends a little bit further down Pico on to meet the design guidelines for downtown, et cetera. And there, and as well up into Pico Union. And then we have the plazas. So this is Chickern Court and Star Plaza in front of Staples and LA Live. And if you were down there during the Kings victory, March to Victory, this was extremely active. People, for a 7:30 game, people were showing up at 11 o'clock and spending the entire afternoon. And we can expect similar activities for NFL events, that this space would be activated, and it's less of a tailgating space than it is an activity space, and those kinds of things that would be going on there. And that, I'm going to have trouble with battery. So I'm going to rush through this. So the next plaza is the Farmers Field Plaza here. So this is the main entrance into Farmers Field. So again, big open plaza space. And then we get to the canyon. Yeah.
Where your battery goes dead.
Yeah. So this is the space between Staples and the event center.
Okay.
So it's fairly wide, but because you have these two really tall structures, it's kind of like a canyon. So that's where that came up, and so there's more plaza space in there, and it's nicely landscaped and decorated.
So it's being designed for the canyon, the walls.
Yeah.
Really, what are they looking to, what's going to be the aesthetics there?
Yeah, let's see if we get a sense of that from here. I don't really get a sense of the aesthetics on that. I thought I had a graphic on that. Let me see if I can dig that one up real quick. I thought it might be in here.
Like, how long is the corridor of that canyon?
I don't have the
Wait, back.
width.
Backward. I thought that looked like.
It's coming up.
Okay.
Oh, maybe it was back there. I shuffled their exhibit.
Is
Oh,
that it?
that's it.
Oh, there goes the battery.
One more.
There it is.
Okay.
No, that's LA Live Way.
Okay.
Oh. That's LA Live Way. So that's more of the street. The parking structures are on the one side and the stadium on the other. No.
Wow,
Okay, so that doesn't have it.
interesting.
Rob, does that have it? No, we don't have a view of that one. Okay. We'll work on that one for the next meeting. A. Okay, so you'd like to know some of the dimensions in that space, the widths and the lengths, and some of the design features on the side of the stadium. I expect there's a plan to have some retail in that area of the stadium. So again, having some activity, people to stop and linger, and retail as well. So then, from Chickern Court to Farmers Plaza, through the canyon over to Gil Lindsay Plaza. So this is where the bulk of the tailgating would occur. And as you see now, Gil Lindsay Plaza has a major, 4-lane, 6-lane road going through it for bus drop-off. There's a big bus parking area. And there's a little bit of a tree plaza here. The Gil Lindsay Memorial is out here on the corner with all of the traffic on Pico and Fig. The current design has a large lawn in the middle with, it's got these support structures so that, E3 brings in a tank. They can put a tank in there. Some of the other conventions that have really big, heavy equipment, they'd be able to park that heavy equipment in here.
And then where are you
So-
proposing to move the Gil Lindsay sculpture?
It would go right here, a little bit further into the park, more central to the park, adjacent to the community room. And then there are these garden spaces that are identified for space for people to linger longer in the plaza. If you've been over to we've just lost the power.
You got as far as you could, I guess.
Yeah. I gotta figure that out, because there were some things you needed to see. Let's see. If you've been to the convention center, you've seen that there are events where,
And then be plugged in?
yeah, I just gotta find power. Let's see. Do we have?
Anything in the middle?
It's called budget cuts, right?
Can he reach over to there? Oh, here's the power through. There we go.
Let's see if I can get that going.
Hit yourself.
Technology. So, if you, there was the African American Business Association, I believe, that had a conference a couple years ago, 2 years ago, over at the convention center. Huge. They had the entire facility operating, and all of these business people were out on their cell phones, sitting on cement blocks out in the front of the plaza, you know, in the boiling sun, because that was all that there was there, right? What this does is creates places with these garden spaces. There we go. Mm-hmm. These garden spaces gives people the chance to be in a little bit more quiet, private space to linger, take care of what they need. You can, if you're there for a convention, you can meet people in the garden. There's more of a destination place for people to group together. And these are also places that can be used for receptions that the convention center might put together. So here's trigger finger. So here's a design. The concept now is to actually extend the landscaping concepts here in Guild Lindsay Plaza across to the South Plaza as well, so that the space is integrated. And one of the concepts that the planning department has been interested in is making sure that the design features here actually can transfer across the street on Figueroa as well. So, you know, if you have a big event in Gil Lindsay Plaza, you can shut down Figueroa and you can shut down Pico, and the entire space becomes one big active space. Here we go. So here's some configurations for convention events. You can have big tents. You can put in, for the auto show, you can have different kinds of vehicle exhibitions along the sides and such. But it's also for, for different types of special events. If you can have sports exhibition events, so there you can put some basketball courts out here and have amateur sporting event type demonstrations and such. You can have different types of tents for a wide range of different things, receptions. And then community events such as farmers market or art shows. You can do small movie events in the park type of thing as well. So it really is being designed to be an outdoor space for events at the convention center, for the clients who rent the space. This is Los Angeles. We want them to be able to take advantage of our greatest asset, our sun and our weather. Events at the event center, as well as community events. So there are a wide range of uses that can activate in this space as a result of this redesign. Again, 4 acres, so it's taking space that is now a road, basically, in bus drop-off and making it a more active, enjoyable space.
I have a question about the exterior spaces. Have you given any thought to putting in infrastructure for filming too?
Yes. We've, as you know, the council worked to install film nodes in a number of sites across the city, and this is a significant place for those film nodes.
Great.
So we have had those talks with AEG about that. We need to make sure they're in the design so that they'll be paid for. So this is one view of the, people were confused by this because all the tents were different colors, and I think people wanted all the tents to be one color. This is a view of the park when you're at Staples looking toward Pico. So again, open space, there will be art features, fountains and such. Here's the memorial for Gilbert Lindsay. So again, just much more pleasant space for people to be in. And then, let's see, what do we have next? Okay, Pico Passage. We had talked at our last meeting about concerns with the way Pico Passage was designed, that there's a service ramp that in the original design, a service ramp that serves Farmers Field and Staples. And then, as you can see, this is where we were with this LA Service Convention Center access drop-off area here, right next to our Pico lobby, the access ramp to the event center in Staples, and then access ramps to the parking space underneath the concourse hall. And this was a real concern for your city staff. Too many driveways for pedestrians to maneuver around. And so we asked AEG to go back and take a look at that, and they came up with a real nice solution. They've consolidated 3 of those into a single service area. So the consolidation significantly improves the pedestrian experience through that portion of the passage.
It really is about operations and how the trucks queue up, so you don't have overspill at any one time during the operations of multiple functions, correct?
Yeah, correct. Actually, I was going to start the presentation with an important note. We're nearly completed with all of the transaction documents, and you will be receiving those sometime next week. And that's the implementation agreement, all of the ground leases, the signage agreement, a whole range of documents. One of those, the implementation agreement includes a section concerning the creation of a campus coordinating committee. And one of the things they'll be required to coordinate are service deliveries at this ramp, because it's essential that we don't impact the pedestrians, but also that we don't have trucks queuing up and blocking traffic on Pico.
Right. So when you have emergency vehicles that want to come in and there's an incident, God forbid, and you need to get ambulance in there, fire truck, they'll have that capacity.
Exactly. That is our expectation and our intention with that coordinating committee, that they will work out the plans and create opportunities or ensure that there are opportunities to address the emergency issues. And
who enforces the oversight? Who is actually responsible should there be an incident and you have 4 events, let's say 3 events, and trucks are coming in, you need to get an emergency vehicle in there.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, human nature, mistakes are made.
Yeah.
Who's responsible?
That's one of the elements of the coordinating committee, is that as they review the events that are held on any given day, they clearly identify who's responsible for the campus or parts of the campus at any given time. It has to be essential that there's a clear understanding, as you're pointing out, that if that the convention center is in control of this space at this time, and that if the event center is on a Sunday for an NFL game, the event center is taking responsibility for that space. It'll have to vary based on whose events are in there.
How is this enforced?
Yeah.
How is it enforced? Who is monitoring? I mean, this could happen.
Yeah.
Really easily when you have a coordinating committee, but who's in charge?
Yeah. There are 2 parties, basically, the city and the developer. So it's pretty limited in terms of the
Finger pointing.
Yeah, the finger pointing. Everybody's basically going to be responsible at that point if it's not clear who was responsible for that event. We do have requirements that there be review of the policies and the programs that this campus coordinating committee puts together. So there will be review of that to make sure that there's just another set of eyes on it outside of that committee. So, but I take your point. We will take a closer look at that to make sure that we have it reviewed. Expect from the city side, it's not just the convention center who will be staffed to that committee. They will need DOT and police and fire, and if there are other departments necessary to sit in those coordinating committees, to be there at the appropriate times. If there's a national political convention comes in, for example, you'll need to have a wider range of people there than if it's E3 or.
You could pattern it after emergency operations.
Yeah.
Where everybody has a seat, for logistics.
Exactly.
Follow that kind of approach.
Yeah.
Then that way we don't miss anybody.
Yeah. Actually, good model. Thank you. So you'll be seeing details like that coming in the next couple of weeks. So in the operations of just those types of things, truck deliveries and such, because, this facility is receiving food deliveries every day. There's, between the convention center, Staples Center, and the event center, there's a significant amount of food that's being consumed that needs to be brought in, the trash that needs to be brought out. There's a whole range of similar issues that we need to make sure go smooth here, because if this isn't smooth, everyone's going to know. So that was a great solution there. As we discussed some of the design issues in Pico Passage, there were concerns that it was just going to be a dead space. And there have been some renderings that have been prepared, and I've got better renderings that AEG sent over on some of those. Let's see if this is a better one. This is a better one. The concern is that as the planning commissioner has said, that we activate the edges. So using lighting and signage and art along the walls as pedestrians come through this space are going to be very important elements of what we have going on here. Let me see, there was another rendering. They put in Oscar Pistorius, the Olympian, on the design. That was cool. So again, lighting in the ceilings, lighting along the walls, really trying to make an effort to bring this space to life for pedestrians who are coming through. And I think that was the last slide I have for you. That's the last slide I have for you.
Any other questions? We do have, I see Mr. Gonzalez came back into the room. Is he still here? Do you want to speak on item 1? Sure. Okay, because you didn't have a number on your card.
I can wait till John's finishes.
Are you done? He's done. Yeah. You can come up, and Alan Kabaker can come back up for item 1. If you want to come back up, sure.
I also think Midnight Mission wanted to speak on
On 1? Let's see. Let me see. Did I miss their card? Why don't you come on up anyway? I'll find the card. Midnight Mission. This is all on item 1. And just state your name for the record. Take it from the...
I'm Alan Kabacher. I'm with the owners of 940 Figueroa. And I just wanted to respond as a owner on property on Figueroa that how I looked at the offers from AEG to enliven the area. I saw the 2 walking paths related to the metro stations, and those both skirt around Figueroa. So I just wanted to make sure that Figueroa got considered as part of the total area that would be economically impacted by the AEG proposal. Whether there would be additional street art, lighting, or artwork that could enliven Figueroa between Pico and Olympic, and I'm even north of Olympic. Second of all, that when AEG is planning to install new restaurants, they're planning a restaurant at Pico and Fig and another at Pico and LA Live, that there's opportunity for restaurant space in the existing facilities, including my building. And I want to make sure that AEG takes that into consideration. This would be an adaptive reuse, and I'm just mentioning that in response to the comments by Tom Labange, who's looking for additional adaptive reuse opportunities. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Want to go next?
Hi, my name is Mai Lee. I'm the Director of Public Affairs for the Midnight Mission. For those of you that don't know about the Midnight Mission, we are almost a 100-year-old independently funded facility downtown here on Skid Row. I had the pleasure of reviewing the community benefits package, and I was very excited to see a large portion of it allocated for jobs for the zip codes in the neighboring community. And I'm here to talk a little bit about the importance of jobs for individuals outside of our program when they complete our program, and how important that is to individuals when they are finally out of our program and out of their drug addictions, to have those types of opportunities for them. And the Midnight Mission works very hard to provide those opportunities, and we've worked very closely with AEG to ensure that takes place, and so I want to be here to support that program, and I'm really excited to see Farmers Field go up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilmember Reyes, I appreciate you giving us a chance, those of us who are out front at a press conference on another issue come back in. Once again, the LA, I'm Ruben Gonzalez. I'm the Vice President of Public Policy and Political Affairs for the LA Area Chamber of Commerce. We're excited by the Community Benefits Plan that AEG has presented. We're excited to be a partner with them in reaching the goals for job creation and betterment for many, many different organizations and groups within this community. Once again, AEG has stepped up as the model of a good corporate citizen. They do it over and over and over again. And I think it's just incumbent upon the city leadership to step up again as well. And let's make Farmers Field happen for the betterment of us all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Two comments.
Just state your name for the record.
Michael Hartunian. I'm a landlord downtown. Once again, I own the property between Pico and Grand, the corner block. Two comments. One, I'm not quite clear on what's going on with Pico Union Corridor. Best my understanding is that you're making best use of the transit system that's been placed over there. Once again, I see hundreds upon hundreds of people on Conventions Day walking down Pico Boulevard, heading due west on Pico, and the idea about beautifying the walk for whether it be local LA residents going for whether it be a comic book convention or a religious convention or people coming from other countries. I think it's important to impress upon them the beauty of LA. To talk about your concerns about liability, Mr. Reyes, that's a concern of the landlords as well. We are responsible for the sidewalks as well as the streets are. This property has been in my family for 3 generations. My grandfather bought it back in the 50s. We were forced to put in trees, ficus trees, along Pico Boulevard, and those ficus trees have overgrown the land, and there's no underground water for the roots to go down, so they're growing up. They're lifting sidewalks literally off the ground, and some of them are being covered with asphalt, others are not. People are tripping. It is not a pretty sight for people from out of state, out of country, even people in Los Angeles or filmmakers to come down Pico unless they're looking for a slum to shoot on. With respect to making downtown a desirable place to shoot, I was in the film industry. I worked for MGM. We pumped in $100 million a year into Vancouver to build our own studio over there. Why? Why did we choose Vancouver? One, there was a dollar exchange rate, which we benefited on. 2, they were very accommodating in providing us with tax benefits to move production over there. I was recently speaking with one of the deputy councilmen about how do we bring shooting back to Los Angeles. And from local news, I understand that there has been something passed in the way of tax benefits for studios. You bring the tax benefits back for our studios, they will come and they will shoot in Los Angeles. It's easier to shoot in Los Angeles. The creative people here are here in Los Angeles. They will come and they would rather see what's going on in an area that they know than go to Vancouver or go to another country, or New England, rather than going to Australia or going to New Zealand to shoot. If we can provide them with beautiful cities to shoot in, they will shoot here if you provide them with tax incentives, and they will pump the money back. The film industry is unfortunately one of the last few major industries left in Southern California. It's really important that you understand. I was a vice president of business affairs for Walt Disney Cable Networks Group. Okay, so I was in charge of all the business decisions for the Walt Disney Company Cables division, and as well as for shooting domestic television for MGM in Los Angeles. I mean, domestically in the United States. So we constantly would search for non-union areas that were friendly to shoot, that had tax incentives, so they would go to right-to-work states and whatnot, because It was quite simply the labor was cheaper. There was no tax incentives, but the labor was cheaper. If you bring in tax incentives, the studios will shoot here. They will hire the union labor. They don't have problems in hiring union labor. They have problems in making their budgets and making their movies. So it's great that you provide them with some pre-existing materials or areas to shoot with, or make it easier for them to shoot. And bottom line, if you don't give them the tax incentives to come here, they're not going to shoot here. They're going to find someplace else to shoot. Give them the tax incentives, and the money will roll in, and the city will make more money on the taxes that are brought in by the monies and the dollars that are spent here by the studios. It's a huge industry.
Thank you. Thank you to all the speakers. I don't have any other speaker cards here. Mr. Wickham, did you want to wrap up on this item?
Yes, I do. Back to your question about the film industry, we've actually reviewed the design for the new hall with the film industry. They're a heavy user in this facility. We wanted to make sure that they were comfortable with what was going on here. And they made a number of points that were very helpful, including asking that we not use palm trees in Gil Lindsay Plaza because they don't have palm trees in some of the more temperate climates that they like to pretend that they're visiting when they're here. So AG was very accommodating on that point. So so there's been efforts to reach out to the major clients in the convention center to make sure that they're comfortable with what's happening here, and they made a number of design changes to accommodate their needs as well. So basically this should be a complete finish with the design issues that we have on this facility at this point. As I said, by sometime next week, you will have all of the transaction documents. It's the detailed contracts and agreements associated with moving this to completion. And then shortly after that, you will have the planning department's documents. The development agreement with the community benefits are attached to that document as well. So there's quite a lot of material for you to review in the next couple of weeks.
All right, well, thank you very much, Mr. Wickham, and that marks the end of our discussion on item 1. I don't have any additional speaker cards. This is the end of the agenda. If there are people here who would like to speak on items that are not on the agenda, this would be the public comment period, and they should feel free to come forward at this time. And since there's no one coming forward, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much, everyone.